Hello, hello. I am here with a very special guest. Cherise is a client of my agency, and I thought it would be a great opportunity to ask her to join us, and she was gracious with her time and basically talk about how her business, her prior experience with automation, and then how I became involved through we'll say a little bit of luck and how it's been going. And I feel that perspective would be valuable for the people that are watching this video because, every perspective is different. And I'd like to preface who Cherise is from my perspective before I have her introduce her business and herself. I met Cherise through work, right? Basically, she was looking for work. And now we are very close friends, dear friends.
Yes.
And we even traveled to each other's cities and met her family, and she's actually she has a nurse practitioner's office where she treats people. Let me just speak for me, but I'll let her say the story better. But I am a patient of hers. So it started off as a work relationship. It turned into a very dear friendship. And actually, I'm wearing these headphones because I had an ear infection, and I messaged my friend Cherise, who helps me out, and I said, "Hey, I got a little ear infection. Can you help me out?" And she's one of my main practitioners. So it's fantastic. So welcome, Cherise. Please introduce yourself. I know you got more to say than what I did. Tell us about yourself.
I may be shy today. Thank you very much for having me, Danny. As Danny mentioned, I'm a functional medicine nurse practitioner. My background's in internal medicine, and I've had my own functional medicine practice since 2016. Prior to 2016, 99, believe it or not, 1999 through 2016, I worked in internal medicine. When I first started my own practice, I just really acquired business from word of mouth. My husband has a compounding pharmacy, and he is inching towards semi-retirement, perhaps selling the pharmacy. And I thought, okay, I need to amp up my game. Plus, I also recognized in my community, I'm in South Texas, and really just Texas in general, as Danny may mention, a need for my services. Functional medicine focuses on wellness and not just normal or abnormal, but really optimizing sex hormones, thyroid hormones, things like your iron storage, vitamin D3. So I'm really a lucky gal because I meet a lot of folks that are patients. I meet them as patients, and many of them, not everybody, Danny, many of them do become friends, but Danny is my kind of guy. And I met him because I was looking for some solutions for my business, knowing I needed to take it to the next level.
Great. And I do want to add that, just for context, like when I met Cherise, I was having a hard time sleeping. So I'm building myself as a potential customer avatar. I wanted to lose some weight, I'm 43 years old. And as you get older, it's a little bit harder to keep that youth. And I had already gone down a journey where I was trying really hard to get a hold of my health. And so when I got introduced to Cherise, I just was like, wait a minute, this might be a good fit, but let's talk about your business. And so we started working together, and I talk to her every week about my health, and it's just a fantastic experience, And so I'm a very happy customer. But I think that's also a really good segue, Cherise, for us to understand what is the customer journey. All right. So we're going to go through this one by one. And the purpose of this exercise for the audience is for them to be listening for cues as to, okay, this is how I got to know you in the first place. Tell me about what you do. And I get the introduction as to what your business is so I can understand it. And I'm trying to see where I can get the software to come in as easy as possible and to be able to solve a problem without making your life harder, right? I don't want to create a bunch of extra work, which is going to come into our story here, because
Right.
it actually has a lot to do with why she found me, right?
Right.
So, but let's start with the customer journey. So, obviously, I know that you have a pharmacy, but let's talk about how people find you.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, that some people do a search on Google. You do get some referrals, whether from your husband's pharmacy or friends and family, because you live in a wonderful, quaint town where everybody knows everybody.
Everybody knows everybody.
Everybody knows everybody. That could be good or bad, right?
Right. Exactly.
And so I would imagine that a lot of these people, and I'm putting myself in that position, a lot of these people want to know what you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking this out loud. So they probably, most people may just do a little homework before they contact you.
Mm-hmm.
Go to your website, and so that's the importance of having a good website. And I know you work with Robert from another company who's a dear friend of ours, who is also a Black Label, by the way, for those of you that are wondering. And Robert knew Cherise because he lived in this town, and he's a full service marketing agency, a fantastic agency, by the way.
Yes.
And I work with Robert because I help them run the software while they handle all the other heavy lifting. And so it started off with your website, and basically people would, before you started working with automation, people would call you, maybe send you an email. Did you have a chat widget, Cherise, before?
No, and that's a great point you bring up. I should have mentioned my practice is a cash-based practice. So every interface I have with an existing patient or a potential client, I need to exude a certain level, a higher level of attentiveness. And that was made possible through, and I won't use the correct terminology like you guys will or Danny will. I sought out Robert's services because my website needed fixing desperately. It needed a revamp, and I did not have a chat widget. I did not have a funnel on that website in order for me to collect phone numbers and email addresses. A large portion of functional medicine is to educate the patient. So I needed to be collecting all this data so that I could in turn educate the population, not just about my services, but just about health in general. So being a cash-based practice, my margins are a little bit different than what people may think of the typical healthcare experience where we file insurance for a patient's visit. So I have to be really, really careful about my overhead because I spend a lot of time with patients. I spend about an hour and a half for a new patient visit, and then monthly an hour or 30 minutes after that. So I really don't have an office staff. I have a part-time assistant. So automation was very, very important to me. Again, for two reasons: the picture how I want to present myself to the patient, and then to limit what I have to touch and to mess with after the fact. I need things to be automated.
Right. Because you want things to be as efficient as possible, because if you're hiring people to do stuff, that's coming right off the top.
Correct.
So when we are analyzing what you were trying to do, is you were trying to educate your customers efficiently as possible, and basically get them to agree to a meeting, right? That actually makes sense. So I would like to point out that once, let me finish this, and then we'll get to the company that you tried to solve your problem with, because I think that's a very important part of this picture.
Yes,
And it's
yes.
actually one of the main reasons why I invited you here. Is that, so once they go to your website, we're trying to get them to set up a free consultation. That is the ultimate goal for me to help you with, right? Because once I get them into that meeting, you do what you do best. You talk about what you do, you educate them, but the free consultation is your way of selling. It's your sales pitch, basically, while providing good value. And
Oh, you're kind of fuzzing out.
my internet is that way. So what I was saying is that the
Okay.
main goal is to get them into a consultation, because then you can do what you do. And my job, at least the first part of the job, is over, right? Get them to that meeting.
Get them to that strategy call so they can get to meet Cherise and decide if they want to purchase that big ticket item, because it is a cash-based practice. Yes.
Right. Okay, very good. So that is your ultimate goal. Now I think it's very important to talk about a company. Basically, you were, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm doing this from memory. You were approached by a marketing agency that specialized in internal medicine. Is that correct?
Right. Really internal medicine / functional medicine. So it was a marketing agency that was aware, most of us are cash-based practices because the insurance model doesn't work with how much time we spend patients. So yes, it was a company that has significant experience in functional medicine. So I was not intrigued. I was captured. I was interested. I signed on with them because they have a great deal of content and know a lot about what I do clinically. My mistake.
Yeah, but it sounded good. Like
Good.
you realize that they, the pitch was they were solving problems.
Right.
And in all fairness, I believe they were, but there were some catches to it, which is important. So they were, if I'm not mistaken, they already had pre-built landing pages. They already had pre-built email templates and sequences and trying to get people into these different offers and programs. It was extremely elaborate.
Yes.
And it was a lot.
It was a lot. Right.
And a lot in a good way, what it felt like a good way at first, but that is also why I wanted to talk about it. It also was a lot in a bad way, was it not?
It was, because Danny assures me I'm relatively tech savvy for being a healthcare provider. I'm pretty decent at being able to kind of knock around within a system without destroying you guys' artistry, and kind of figuring things out, setting up some messaging and things on my own. And I could never figure out with the chat widget and how the patient was going to actually get to a strategy call with me. I could never go in there and figure out myself, here's point A, how are they going to get? I didn't need them to get to point Z. I really needed them to get to about point C or D. It did not need to be that complicated.
Right. And for context, because I actually did see this build. My delay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
The internet fogged up and I thought you were done, and then I started talking and whatever. So, well, let me say this. So I saw the build, right? You basically reached out to Robert. Robert reached out to me, and I, the idea is that you were just unhappy with what they built because it was too confusing. It was too hard to use. They built a really, really well thought out and elaborate system, but it was too much of a change for you. It required you to do too many different things for their system to work. Am I speaking appropriately?
No, that's spot on. I also felt a lack of who can I ask when I run into this roadblock? Like I never got a sense of completion, and I didn't have that person available. And again, because of what I do, I like to be respectful of you guys' time. I like people to be respectful of my time, but I never had an opportunity to reach out to really ask a black and white question and get a black and white answer and get some clarity of my client's journey. To get some clarity in my client's journey and how they were going to be tagged, how they were going to be segregated in terms of how they were coming in on the chat widget. So yes, it was elaborate, but it really didn't accomplish what I wanted.
Right. And I'd like to point out that let me paint a picture. The original company was in High Level, another piece of software, right?
Yes.
and I'm very proficient at it. You know, I will say that you are too, right? And what I noticed when I went in to look, when you said, "Hey, I want to work with you and Robert," you know, I want someone that I feel will give me the attention I need. And I could tell, you know, when I first met you, I was like, "So what is it doing?" And it was like, "Well, I just know this is what I do." It was very pipeline based, which is fine. But when I went in there and I just saw like someone sneezed in that account. It was so hard for me to understand what was going on. You know, I saw at least a couple hundred custom values, for those of you that know what that is.
It's ridiculous.
In the custom fields, which is where you store the values for a contact, there was a couple hundred there. And I'm just like, holy crap. I mean, I was looking at it and I'm like, how are you supposed to build with this? You know, it just was too, if it was too confusing for me, I know it was way too confusing for you. And I tried to piece it all together, trying to figure out what was going on. And it was monumental. And honestly, I almost turned the work away because I'm like, I am not interested. Yeah, I am not interested in figuring this out because there's not enough time in the day and you're better off just starting from scratch. Right. Well, with enough convincing and I had a really good feeling with working with Cherise, but the convincing was from Robert. I said, if people are going to be patient with me, if you give me the time, I'll get my team to start migrating it. And that's what they did. And all they did was copy it exactly. They just went down the list, copied it, and there was a substantial fee for that. I mean, I want to say it was about $5,000. It was a lot of money. But Cherise wanted seamlessness. And so the challenge was, it was cheaper to just move it because we had to do it by hand. And I'd like to point out that we did have permission from the original agency because I believe in protecting other people's IP, but a lot of it was just to keep her up and running while we figured out a long-term plan. Okay. And so anyway, so what ended up happening, I'm going to sum this all up. We ended up deleting 90% of the stuff once I figured out what Cherise needed, right? Instead of here's this system, Cherise, which is what they did. This is what you need to do this. I was like, no. I am not going to build a system and force you to use it because that is exactly what happened. You had to change too much of your business. And what did you do? You went somewhere else.
Right. I went somewhere else. Thank goodness I went somewhere else before it ended up costing me even more money.
Yeah, right. I knew you were frustrated, and they were doing all kinds of UTM parameters. I mean, they knew what they were doing, but they made the fundamental flaw of trying to do everything instead of keeping it simple. Find your home runs efficiently and try to avoid those extra landmines where things can go wrong. Because ultimately, when these landmines start blowing up in the customer's face, they're going to start looking for someone else, right? And going back, we deleted 90% of everything they did because I was having a hard time with our stuff in their stuff.
Well, it would get lost within the busyness. It was lost within, you couldn't, again, there was no clarity of the journey. Even for us in the system, you couldn't figure it out because there was just so much. Again, I don't know the terminology you guys use, but it was pretty overwhelming. So
it was a sneeze. Someone sneezed in that account. It was just everywhere.
It was very bad.
Right. And so what we did, that last 10%, we rebuilt it. And I want to talk about that. Okay. So they were trying to do everything. They were nurturing people from different sources and this and that. And they had pre-built funnels for whatever your offer is. And some things just can't be a template without good editing. And they tried to supplement that by having lots of custom fields and lots of custom values, you know, and I'm just going to, I could spend a day talking about what they were trying to do, but let's talk about what we did. So I started learning, and this was the key. I had to understand what Cherise wanted. And I realized what I said earlier was that the appointment is the goal. Everything else should just feed to that, right? And that sense of clarity made me realize, well, that's where we start. Let's start with the appointment campaign. And what we built was very similar to what they had, but it goes back. Cherise is who I was talking about in previous training when I started talking about some of my clients' favorite features. I was thinking of good old Cherise, right? Cherise has people. We built a quiz on our website where people can get their hormone, evaluation, right? It's to collect data to kind of get their troubleshooting, and what they're wanting to fix. And that information goes to Cherise. Great, no problem. Anybody can do that, even though I say we did it better, right? And
we did do it better.
Yeah, and then we work together. Okay, so now we get them there. We're trying to get them into a complimentary evaluation. All right. And with that evaluation, or get them into the consultation, excuse me. And so most people just do the standard appointment reminder, and that's what they did. And great. But I started realizing that Cherise threw a curveball. She goes, I want them to fill out this check-in. I need better information for when they show up. Because a lot of people come in and we waste minutes trying to figure out stuff. I don't know what they want. And not only that, we noticed that the people that, we would eliminate the people that weren't serious.
Right.
Making them have to do something. So we built, as soon as they sign up for an appointment, we built a really beautiful flow that checks to see if they have filled out the questionnaire. And I made the questionnaire after the appointment booking, not before, because if you give a bunch of questions before you book an appointment, well, they may not book an appointment. So we wanted them to book. And then through the SMS and emails, we start saying, we do a check to see if they're a previous person, if they've done it. So we do a tag to see if they filled out that questionnaire. If they haven't, ask them for the questionnaire. And we gave them instructions that, look, we need you to do this, because if you do not, we will have to reschedule you. We need this so we're ready and prepared for your free consultation. Yep. And so we do the standard, reminder. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you in an hour. We'll see you in 10 minutes. And at each point, we're checking to see if they've done the questionnaire. And I want to say we put a 30-minute check before the appointment. And if they don't have that tag, meaning they didn't fill out that questionnaire, we take them down another path and says, sorry, we really needed it. You're probably busy. We wanted to be nice, but we had to cancel you. And then I send a notification to Cherise saying, hey, this person's not going to, they didn't do it. We sent them the link. So she knows she's good. Didn't have to show up at that appointment. And that person can then rebook another appointment and start the process all over again.
Right.
So that is the beginning of it. And then let's say they did it 10 minutes before the appointment, instead of just giving you when they fill out the survey, when they fill it, which could have been a day, a week, a month ago, because I know you're booked up pretty far in advance. I want that to be right there at the top of your inbox, so that all whether, because you don't always take your appointments in the office, do you? I mean,
no,
sometimes you're.
I'm glad you went there, because that's like the icing on the cake. The best part of it all. I've got 2 grown boys, but I have a 10-year-old, and I can literally have a text reminder if I'm going to pick my daughter up from school. Boom. Hey, you've got a strategy call in 10 minutes with John Smith. Here's John's information. So Danny fixed it, devised it, whatever magic you people do, where I get it on my text as a text and on the email. So now, because people are very okay if you say, I think it lets them see our humanness. Hey, I'm sitting here, I'm talking on the phone, I have all your information, because it is served up to me to where I can do that strategy call. Like Danny just said, not most of them are not done in my office. They're either done here at home or in my car, en route, parked somewhere. So that has made my life tremendously easier.
And I'd like to point out before, what was it like before we built this? What happened with those appointments? What did you dislike about the prior system, which was a traditional system? I'd like to point out.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I would have to go into hello. I can never think of it. I always want to call it hello, go high level. I'd have
Right.
to go into go high level on my desktop or on my laptop to go retrieve all that information. And it was not served up nice and succinctly. Also, and I don't know if you were going to mention this, Danny, or not, after I do the strategy call, and let's say that person wants to schedule and I've converted them, I would have to, if I, let's say, scheduled them myself, I would then have to retype out their information or copy and paste it, send it to my assistant and say, hey, John Smith wants to book. Can you please call John Smith and collect his down payment? Here's his address. Here's his date of birth. That's one of my favorite features because Danny added a checklist after I'm through with that strategy call with about 4 or 5 options like, yes, they want to book now, call them. And that, what do you say? That sets off, he set it up to where my assistant gets an automated message with their information. So she knows exactly what to do with that patient based on what I checked. Like, no, they do want to schedule, call them now and book, get their money. No, they're not ready to schedule yet. Give them a follow-up call in 2 days. So we kind of, what would you call that, Danny? Oh, that checklist.
The way that I explain it, and I'm glad you brought that up. That was what's next. So you show up to your appointment, and the old way, you'd have to be like, oh, if you're driving, it's hard.
Yeah.
If, they wanted you to log in, update a pipeline,
right.
Or you had to take that information, send a message to your office manager, or you had to remember to follow up with them.
Yes, I had to do
but the pipeline
I
is what they use.
The pipeline. Yes, I had to do the pipeline, which was not of value to me at all, because I had to go and move and rearrange everybody in the pipeline instead of this way, just going check and everything else is taken care of.
Right. Yeah. The problem with pipelines is you think it keeps you organized, but when you are mobile, like Cherise is, it's actually another landmine, right? Because, and I can see I'm breaking up, but tell me what I missed. But the point is that you're often driving. Well, what happens when you're driving and you're on your way to go pick up your daughter? You forget to update a pipeline. And if that pipeline is still in a drip sequence, now it's doing what you don't want it to do. Right? That's a bad thing. Yep. And that's why I prefer the technique of when the very last step of an appointment reminder, which is what we were just talking about, is I like to send a form. And that form is texted and emailed to Cherise, so that when that meeting starts, that form is already known for that contact. So all she has to do is open up her phone, click either at the top of her email box or her SMS, click a link, and that link goes to the form. And the form is, how did it go with Danny, your patient? They became a client. What did that do? That sends a message to your office manager to do the next step. Right. Danny wants to think about it. You hit think about it or add to drip, whatever we named it. Hit submit. Done. And it's still updating the pipeline, guys. Right. But now she doesn't have to log in and do it. And that is the point. Right? So my phone is blowing up. I'm about to turn it off.
You're important.
I know. But what I'm getting at is that I recognize by your feedback, I had never realized it until I saw you using the other system, and we looked at it and there was 100 contacts in there. And I'm like, are all these right now? She goes, well, no, that's what we've done over the last, I don't know, 3 months, 6 months.
Yeah. Right.
And I'm just like, ooh, that's a mess. Like, I didn't even know how to fix it without a lot of manual labor. And I said, and I knew exactly what happened. She was too busy, or there was not an exit path to keep it clean. If someone wants to think about it, well, they're always there for 6 months. There was, you know what I mean? So by making it all pipeline based, you have to create a lot more logic, right? And so by doing this, by giving you the form, we are saving you the login, we're saving you the typing of sending a message to your office manager. We're saving you from updating pipelines, and that's that. It's a lot easier for you, which was the point, yet it's doing the same thing the other system was supposed to do. But then you had to remember to log in, who was the person I met with again, and then not only that, are they at the top or the bottom of the pipeline? I mean, it just became a lot, you know, and so with that being said, that ended up being what you like the most. I came in, recognized a problem that was trying to solve a problem, and I made it to where everything is just right in front of you.
There. It's right there.
So it was the closest thing. In fact, it was easier than what you had before automation. Right?
Yeah, much so.
Because all you knew is that you would sign up, or I'm sorry, you would just get your notification that you have an appointment. You would say, oh, let me open up my phone. Everything is presented right in front of you. You didn't have to log into any system. You didn't even have to go check your calendar with who it was with, or their answers to their onboarding or their questionnaire. It was all there. You showed up, and there was already an email and an SMS where you could say they became a client, or they didn't show. Send them the reschedule link. I remember that's one of our options. So you could be like, boom, didn't show, boom, send them the reschedule link.
Right.
You didn't have to do anything other than click a few buttons, no different than putting in food in the microwave, hitting a timer, hitting start, and walk away.
Right.
And that's what I sell. I sell microwaves.
Yeah.
That's how I explain it to people. I sell microwaves because wouldn't you agree, Cherise, running a successful practice and being busy, and you've got, let's say you want to cook for your family, it's really tempting to just throw some food into something, or go get takeout, same thing, or throw it in the microwave, same thing, rather than you could have the most beautiful kitchen with every appliance. And a lot of times you will just throw it in the micro or get to go, because time and the simplicity of it allows you to do what you need to do.
Oh yeah, time is worth so much money. Time is money. Time is money.
Right.
And as we all know, whatever we can offload from up here as quickly as possible, that's invaluable. That's invaluable.
You know, it's important that you know, for context, Cherise is in growth mode, and since our journey working together, you know, this was, I wouldn't say it was new. She'd obviously been doing this for a while, but she realized, and that's why she found the first company, I need to take it to the next level. I want to offer these services to a broader audience. You know, some of that is telemedicine in the state of Texas, right? And then you also have a supplement line, right? Where you still meet with people outside of the state. And then those vitamins, you can recommend pharmaceutical grade vitamins from your line. And so you're trying to handle both. Right.
It's the system has really, and again, it's served up. You fixed it to where it's served up. I know whether that patient lives within Texas or not. If they live within Texas, I can write them prescriptions, and I can do, and I can order all their lab work, all their diagnostics. If they live outside of Texas, and again, that's already served up to me the second I am getting ready to do their strategy call. If they don't live in Texas, I know that I have to go about that strategy call in a different manner, because not all I can do, because it's still valuable. I do more of a coaching. It's more of a coaching practice with, like Danny mentioned, supplements, perhaps detoxification, things that I'm legally allowed to do. So the system, obviously, then having all that data in one place and having these folks, whatever you guys call it, tagged or stratified, it lets me know, or it enables me, because I always told Danny, my goal is to take care of more patients one-on-one, but I also want to develop income where I'm not trading time for money. What do you call it? Passive income.
Right.
So that's what this system is also allowing me to develop. So I'm just really happy and I'm very grateful.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, it's been a fun ride.
Oh, it's been a
And
ride.
yeah. And I'd like to say that now, you've put in a lot of hard work. We've been working together as a team. I handled that front end, but you've been doing your homework. You've been creating videos, you're growing your social media presence. And when we started, we would have been over the moon just getting you 1 or 2 appointments a week through the system. And now you're booked for a month
Yeah,
or
I'm
more in
booked a month out.
advance.
Yeah, I'm booked a month
What
out.
and now you value the system that much more because it's saving you
Mhm.
a lot of work. In fact, when Cherise and I just meet, for my meetings with her for how's my health, and we always talk about, we trade, we help each other out, and okay, so how's it going? Oh, we're busy. I want to do this, and then we start getting creative. And in all honesty, we're building a better system as we go. And from me as a marketing agency perspective, as a software provider, I'm thinking, I'm making a better widget. Does this work with other ones? And I can put that into a blueprint and resell it to other people like Cherise.
Mm-hmm.
And if you notice, the reason why that may work better than the old company is because I'm not trying to do everything. If you try to do everything, what happens when I go to another nurse practitioner and they're like, no, we don't do it like that? Then they either don't sign up when they figure out they don't like my way, or I'm forcing them to change their business. And it is a much harder sell, right? So I found, and ironically, it's the biggest problems that Cherise had should be the same problems other people have.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a firm believer in keeping it simple.
Yes.
And you're happier because of it, because we deleted 90% of it. Right?
Oh, exactly. I don't have to be anxious going into the system myself. For example, when I went just a couple of weeks ago and I trimmed my strategy call length down, again, I'm not overwhelmed by all of the information or all how they had it set up. So anyway, I'm just really, really happy. I can maneuver my way around it.
You understand it. You didn't understand it before. Because you understand it, you're a lot more comfortable. And not only that, it makes it much more collaborative, because when you say, hey, can we do this? Well, you understand how it works. So, we're able to get down to the meat and potatoes pretty quickly.
Right.
And then we say it's a good move, we do it. And if it's not, it's not, because you understand what's going on. It really, and it makes my life easier because I don't have to keep on explaining and retraining. I mean, let's say you were a multi-nurse practice.
Right.
Well, it's easy for them to just come in, pick up their phone and say, oh, I have an appointment. There's my info. Oh, I just hit this button on this form to do what's next. And then they walk away, and it's scalable. It's easy. And I don't have to spend time maintaining this. Let's be honest. The reason why Cherise and I still meet is because we're friends, and she's helping me with my health.
Right.
But as far as the core functionality, we haven't touched it.
No, we've said after what did we say? We're in the recovery mode after the trauma we've been through 2 months ago. The last couple of meetings, especially. Hey, what do you got for me today? Hey, not much. How are you doing?
Yep.
Yeah, it's great.
Yep. It's
great.
nice. It's nice. So, I want to thank everybody for joining us. I'm going to go through the questions. If you have any questions for me or Cherise regarding this topic, we're going to go ahead and go through them one by one here, and they're going to pop up on the screen, Cherise. I already did this one before, and that is my friend Leland saying, thanks for coming, Cherise. And yes, thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you. I'm always amazed how all of you guys' brains work. It's very foreign from what I do for a living every day. So I'm pretty fascinated by the whole thing.
All right. We got a question here. Does Cherise have any cohorts in other areas with similar functional medicine practices, South Texas or otherwise? What's So he access to her full capacity. If you are interested in learning more about Cherise's practice, or if you think she can help you with your health, or male or female, obviously she takes care of me, but she's really a large part of her practice is female health. Just reach out to me and I'll be happy to put you in touch. But if you're out of the state of Texas, I mean, other than her being able to write me prescriptions, which is kind of supplementing my general practitioner, I would still be having the same meetings with her, working on my health, talking about diet, talking about vitamins. And one of the things, not to get into the weeds, one of the things I do is I have struggled sleeping. I struggle sleeping, getting good, restful sleep. And Cherise has helped me turn that around, and I'm a diabetic. I don't mind sharing that. And Cherise has actually gotten my A1C to where I think I could honestly say that I'm pre-diabetic, maybe even gotten over it. And it's just been a wonderful, I'm really happy with the results,
It's been a win-win.
So with Big Ree right there, if you're interested in learning more about what she does, I'm happy to put you in touch. Just send me a Facebook message. Yes, I'll let Cherise answer that. Do you do telemedicine visits, and are you accepting new clients?
I do telemedicine visits, and I am grateful for every new client. Yes, I am accepting new clients at the moment. Yeah.
All right. I see my entire business, as you just heard, with what solution I provided Cherise, is all about forms. A form to book the calendar, a form to collect data, and a form to make it easy for Cherise to be able to do what's next.
Oh, and you should mention for if there's any females on here, you also took my hex codes and made things pretty for me as well. Yeah, very pretty. My forms match my website. It's great.
Yep. And then this is my friend Leland. He's going to ask you, even though I think he asked it before we talked, we mentioned it. What feature is your favorite of what we do for you? And give multiple, go in order. I mean, we kind of already talked about it, but I'd like for it under the context of this question.
Yeah. If I had to distill it down, the two things are the fact that I get the information served up to me. Because sometimes I have not looked. I've looked what I have on my schedule for the day, but you know how it's one of those days where you're 5 minutes behind on you start running 5 minutes at the very beginning and it's cumulative. So there's sometimes I'm like, oh, I've got a strategy call, boom, because I get a reminder via text. So my phone dings at me, my email. That's a beautiful thing. And all the information is right there. And again, being able to turn around and just go click. And I know that Ann is my assistant. Ann's going to process that patient and do what I've asked her to do based on that automated message that she gets.
Right. And taking it a step further, even though, when you fill out that form, I know one of the things we're about to do is to put them automatically into some of your wellness programs. And all that is, guys, is the next enhancement that I was willing to do for Cherise, where when a contact, after she says they became a client, submit, it's sending their information via webhook or Pabbly or Zapier to her other program to basically guide them to setting up their app on their phone to be able to get their meal plan or their detox plan. So that was a very easy win for me as an agency, because now when she gets a new client, they're already over there in her wellness app, so they allowed that. So that's pretty cool. Very cool. And then we have Ray of Light Media. Danny, I always enjoy your videos. Thank you, Ray. I love your real world examples you give us and love your use of MVPs. MVPs are it means I don't have to work as hard. So that's the way to go. Thank you for that comment. And then I don't know what Leland was saying there. It looked like he changed profiles on me. Good idea. Coming from someone. Yes. So if I may share, Leland, before Cherise, before I realized I was a diabetic, my A1C was almost 10. My last test was 5.1.
Yeah, it's as good as mine, which kind of honks me off, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. Cherise really guided me with that. In fact, I have a little monitor here to monitor my blood, and it's normal. I don't even use them all the time. I just get curious because think I'm going to have a bad week and eat some gummy bears or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with that, I think we have all of our questions, Cherise. All the comments. I cannot thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me today and sharing your experience. And I always value our friendship and how much you work hard to grow your business. It makes my job easier as as the person that helps you with your automation and everything. Oh, we got one more comment. Let's see what it says.
How cute is that?
But functional, figuring out that there's a nail in it, rules it, can stop working. Okay, reach out to me, Big Ree, and I'll put you in touch with Cherise if everything.
That's
so
great.
Anyway,
I need to save that one. Yeah, great. Thank you guys very much for having me. I appreciate it. I am very indebted to Danny for making my life happy again, because it was pretty stressful 6 months ago. Yeah.
Well, I'd like to add that really what we did is we cut through all the nonsense. We didn't try to change what you were doing. We were looking at your practice and looking at things we can make your life easier. I didn't come with a system and said, "Here, Cherise, you need to learn it. Here, Cherise, this is how this system works." It was, "Cherise, tell me about your business. Wouldn't it be cool if we did this?" Yes, great. And because we completely turned everything else on its head, even if we hadn't become such good friends in the meantime, I believe that we would have a customer for life, because this is, can you imagine your life without the system right now, Cherise?
No. Like I said, I'm really, really exciting. I'm really excited now too about the amount of contacts that I have coming in based on that quiz that you made for me. So I'm really collecting a lot of emails and phone numbers, and that's invaluable in terms of what I want to do in regards to passive income. Huge.
Yep, you're right. I think right now your database has over 4,000 contacts. And I know when you want to roll out a special or have a new program, it's turned into a business of itself, that you now even have a subscription where people can get information from you on a regular basis. So, it's really starting to grow its own legs, and it's really, really fantastic. So absolutely. And we call that sticky in our world, Cherise.
Okay.
It means once we give you something, you're stuck and it's hard to give up. And that's our favorite thing in our world that helps us keep our customers, instead of keeping them for 3 months, 6 months, keeping them for years, lifetimes, where they can't picture their business without it. You are correct. It should be tailored to the individual or brand. Great stuff. Yes, absolutely. Have a great weekend as well. And I would like to say I completely agree with that. And building a replicatable system is doing what you just said there, but still recognizing that this is universal. It's a hard balance sometimes, but I think of everybody that does telemedicine, they have some sort of onboarding.
Right.
And they, and it's before they become patients. So it's a little bit easier. I don't want to get in the middle of an existing system. And I would like to point out, Cherise does have her practice management software, and all we do is the stuff before they get in there. Once they hand it off in there, we're done. We want nothing to do with it. Right? And we let that software do its job. So we were a bolt-on instead of a replacement. Right? So anyway, once again, more comments. We're a hit.
Hey.
Excuse me, Cherise. Just clarifying the difference, folks that don't know. All good.
No, he was spot on. Yeah, that was a great clarification.
Yeah, actually, I might have missed it. I saw the thing and I thought it was a medical question, so I moved on. So my bad.
Oh no, when he was clarifying the difference between functional medicine and conventional medicine about the nail in the foot, yeah, that's
got it. Now I get it.
I was like, that's an awesome example.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna do our real goodbyes this time. We went 50 minutes, which time flies when you're having fun. Cherise, thanks again for sharing your perspective on how we were able to work with your business and everything like that. And I look forward to continue to work with you. And we're actually doing a nice build out. We're enhancing due to the extra power compared to what we had before with the old system. And we're really seeing some cool features that I think are going to move the needle and make you really happy. We're in the middle of that rebuild right now, guys. So once again, thanks again. Hope everybody has a great day. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule, joining us, all of you guys. And we will talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.